Orga is an alien kaiju who first appeared in the 1999 Toho Godzilla film Godzilla 2000, Millennium. The result of the Millennium aliens absorbing Godzilla's organizer G1 into their collective form, Orga is a hulking monstrosity possessing Godzilla's strength and enhanced regenerative abilities. After being transformed into a deformed creature rather than a perfect clone of Godzilla, Orga fought and attempted to subdue Godzilla so he could fully engulf him and completely absorb his characteristics. Orga proved to be a challenging opponent for Godzilla due to his potent healing factor, immense strength, and telepathic control of his UFO. Godzilla was able to defeat Orga by allowing the beast to begin swallowing him headfirst, only to unleash a devastating shockwave of atomic energy that obliterated Orga's entire upper body. Orga's name is derived from Organizer G1, the name of the substance in Godzilla's cells that is the source of his extreme durability and regeneration. Orga's name is never spoken on screen in Godzilla 2000, Millennium. Orga's initial state shortly after mutating is denoted Orga Phase 1. Once he begins absorbing more of Godzilla's DNA and developing Godzilla-like characteristics, he transforms into Orga Phase 2. A number of radically different preliminary concept designs for Orga were submitted by various illustrators, including Shinji Nishikawa, Yasushi Torisawa, and Hideo Okamoto. According to Okamoto, one early idea for Orga was a humanoid monster similar to Gara, but with grotesque, abnormally large hands and arms. These were carried over into Orga's final design in the form of his giant, three-fingered claws. Ultimately, special effects director Kenji Suzuki approved an approximately 30 cm tall clay maquette as the basis for the character's Phase 1 form, rather than any of the submitted concept art. Orga's mouth and Phase 2 form were, however, both based on concept art by Shinji Nishikawa. Orga was portrayed by two suits and a prop, all of which were created by, or under the supervision of, seasoned monster modeler Shinichi Wakasa. According to multiple books, Wakasa and Suzuki made the conscious decision to model Orga's head after the TriStar Godzilla, so that audiences could see the Japanese Godzilla defeat the American Godzilla. Makoto Ito, a stuntman at the beginning of his long association with the Kamen Rider franchise, wore both suits. The Phase 1 suit featured a radio-controlled mouth mechanism designed by Nobuhiro Ikubo. It could be equipped with three possible pairs of arms, one with movable claws and the other stationary. The Phase 2 suit, depicting Orga after he absorbs more of Godzilla's DNA, combined pieces reused from the first suit with some newly modeled segments. This one featured a gaping maw huge enough to fit the upper half of the Godzilla suit, along with a number of tracking markers to aid the VFX team in creating the monster's tentacle-like inner mouth, which was done purely in CGI. The Orga blown to pieces by Godzilla's final attack was a prop made out of spare pieces from both suits. Only half of the prop was fully completed, since it would only be filmed from one angle. Unlike the actual suit, the prop also featured a fully molded piece for Orga's mouth. Orga somewhat resembles a warped and deformed version of Godzilla, due to his absorption and subsequent mutation from Godzilla's DNA. Orga has a massive hunched back, a small rectangular head, two gigantic hands with three long fingers, small legs, and a stubby tail. Owing to the monster being a freak mutant, his body is bilaterally asymmetrical and irregular, with its skin taking on a bumpy, uneven texture. When Orga begins to absorb more of Godzilla's DNA, he mutates even further and begins to develop green scaly skin and huge purple dorsal fins. The characters in the film theorize that if Orga absorbed enough DNA, he would eventually become a perfect clone of Godzilla. Orga is not a particularly skilled fighter, as he was only able to land a single punch on Godzilla, and spent most of the battle trying to avoid Godzilla's attacks to gain the range required to use his shoulder cannon. Orga seems to have lost some of the Millennium's intelligence and is only focused on the simple goal of fully assimilating Godzilla's DNA. This proved to be Orga's downfall when he attempted to swallow Godzilla whole and was destroyed from the inside. Orga displays some degree of intelligence retained from the Millennium, as seen when he attempted to communicate with Godzilla at the start of the battle, and is also able to telepathically summon his ship to fight alongside him, including using it to absorb a blast of Godzilla's atomic breath before it hits him. Despite his lacking hand-to-hand capabilities, Orga makes full use of the devastating plasma cannon on his shoulder. In the comic series Godzilla, Rulers of Earth, Orga is portrayed as an out-of-control brute that attempts to eat anything it comes into contact with. Orga even attempts to eat Gigan at one point, even though the two kaiju were allies. Orga was originally a group of Millennians, aliens who had crash-landed on Earth's oceans in their advanced spaceship, where they were trapped due to not being able to receive sunlight. Inside the ship, the aliens converted their bodies into biomass and went dormant for 60 million years. After being reawakened when a submarine shined its lights on the ship, the Millennium UFO went off looking for genetic material to make its form stable and allow it to adapt to Earth's atmosphere. Once the UFO discovered Godzilla, it determined that he was the ideal vessel for their conquest of Earth due to the organizer G1 in his cells, which granted him almost limitless durability. The Millennium UFO subdued Godzilla and absorbed his DNA, then the Millennians combined their biomass into a single physical form and emerged from the UFO. However, the Millennium was unable to withstand the volatile properties of Godzilla's DNA, and mutated out of control until it became Orga. In the continuity of the Godzilla anime trilogy, there are two prominent theories as to Orga's origins. Due to the detection of extraterrestrial components in his DNA, it is hypothesized that he may have been an alien life form that arrived on Earth in ancient times and became dormant. The other theory suggests that Orga was either an approximate species of Godzilla or a monster directly derived from Godzilla himself. Orga was created when the Millennium UFO absorbed some of Godzilla's cells. The Millennians within took on a giant collective form and stepped out. However, the organizer G1 present in Godzilla's cells had an unanticipated side effect and caused the Millennium to spontaneously mutate into Orga. At first, Orga attempted to use the information the Millennians had taken from computers to communicate with Godzilla, but became bewildered when Godzilla began to attack. After that, Orga chose to attack with brute force. Godzilla's atomic beam was no use against Orga due to its regeneration powers, which allowed it to heal brutal injuries in a matter of seconds, far faster than Godzilla. Orga then directed the Millennium UFO to help him fight Godzilla, but it was heavily damaged, and was taken down by Godzilla quickly when he fired his atomic breath at Orga only for the UFO to block it. It was soon discovered that Orga was attempting to become a clone of Godzilla when he bit his arm and absorbed more genetic material. Orga then attempted to swallow Godzilla whole, unhinging his jaw and opening his gaping maw. Godzilla ran headfirst into Orga's mouth and allowed himself to be swallowed. Orga began to grow dorsal fins and increase in height, but started to notice something was wrong when Godzilla began to glow and give off intense heat. Before Orga could react, Godzilla unleashed his nuclear pulse from within Orga's body, destroying Orga's entire upper body in a fiery explosion. After the smoke cleared, Godzilla roared at Orga's headless corpse, which fell over and crumbled into dust.